What does war look like in the 21st century? It's not always tanks and trenches. Sometimes, it's power outages in winter, disinformation campaigns, and refugees crossing borders with nothing but a phone and a backpack. Today, we look at the war in Ukraine, not just the battlefield, but the human, digital, and political front lines. This is not just a story of conventional war. It's a story about what peace really means, when it's not truly there. The myth of peace and the reality of war. Before February 2022, Ukraine was not technically at war, yet peace was fragile. Crimea had been annexed in 2014. Fighting simmered in Donbas. Even in so-called peacetime, civilians lived with insecurity, displacement, and propaganda. That's the first myth we must break. Peace is not just the absence of war. According to peace researcher Johan Galtung, there's negative peace, the absence of violence, and positive peace, which includes justice, human rights, and security. In Ukraine, positive peace was missing long before Russian missiles hit Kyiv. Ethnic tensions, corruption, and unresolved territorial disputes set the stage for what was to come. A hybrid war, not just bullets and bombs. The war in Ukraine is often seen as traditional, tanks, drones, artillery, but it's actually a hybrid war, blending conventional tactics with cyber warfare, energy weaponization, economic coercion, and information manipulation. Russia has used cyber attacks to target Ukraine's infrastructure, banks, and government websites. Propaganda campaigns try to divide the population, discredit Ukraine's government, and confuse international observers. And energy, it's a battlefield of its own. Russia has used natural gas exports as a political weapon, plunging parts of Europe into crisis. Meanwhile, Western sanctions, though non-violent, exert pressure with real human consequences on both Russian and Ukrainian civilians. This kind of war extends far beyond soldiers. It impacts the economy, the climate, information flows, and mental health. Human security, the invisible front line. This war, like many others, hits civilians the hardest. Over 10 million people displaced, internally and externally. Thousands of children separated from families, or out of school. Rising rates of gender-based violence, trauma, and poverty. This brings us to another key concept, human security. Coined in the 1994 UNDP report, human security isn't about protecting borders, it's about protecting people. Their access to food, shelter, healthcare, dignity. NGOs, local volunteers, medics, and diaspora communities, non-state actors, have been essential in filling the gaps left by overwhelmed institutions. In some towns, peace comes not from the UN, but from a neighbor sharing bread. What does this mean for peacebuilding and policy? What do we learn from Ukraine? That modern conflict is multi-layered. That peace cannot be measured by treaties alone. And that non-traditional warfare, like cyber attacks and disinformation, can destabilize entire regions without a single bullet fired. Policy must evolve. Peacebuilders must include tech experts, psychologists, and community leaders. Humanitarian responses must address both physical and psychological scars. International law must catch up with new forms of aggression, like digital warfare. A war that redefines peace. Ukraine's war is a tragedy, but also a lens. It shows us how fragile peace can be, and how many faces war can wear. From missiles to misinformation, from forced migration to economic siege, this is what conflict looks like today. If we want peace in the future, we must understand it's not just about stopping wars. It's about building justice, truth, and human security that lasts long after the bombs stop falling. Thank you for watching.